Can you see me? How about now? This is the EMEET SmartCam S800. Let's go ahead and take this thing out for a test drive in today's episode of Level Up. Okay, before I say another word, full disclosure time. If you guys have been watching this channel for any length of time, period of time, you name it, you guys know I operate by an ethics statement. What is it? Well, for those of you who haven't watched and this is your first time joining in, I'll tell you what it is. It's an ethics statement that I send to any company that wishes to send me stuff to this channel for me to review for you guys, which I let them know, hey, you can send me stuff. Not going to guarantee I make a video. And if I do make a video, will not guarantee an outcome. Your stuff's good, we'll talk about it. Your stuff's bad, we're definitely going to talk about it. And all the opinions expressed in my videos are mine and mine alone. If they agree to it, they can send it out to me. And then if I like it, think you guys are interested in it, I'll make a video review. And because some of you have actually asked me to take a look at this webcam, we're going to do it. So here we go. All right, so now we are on Amazon because if you want to buy this, this is what you're going to see. Let's read through it. The EMEET SmartCam S800 4K webcam for streaming. Has a Sony half-inch sensor in there, supports HDR, PDAF, and TOF dual autofocus, 1080p at 60 frames per second if that's your jam. 2 noise-canceling mics will test that, and 40 degree to 73 degree field of view, so you could change, zoom in, zoom out. Also perfect for live streaming and online meetings. Well, we're going to test out the live streaming because I do a 4-person podcast or live stream once a week on another YouTube channel called Coffee at the Cross. And in that live stream, I'm going to use this as one of my 4 cameras. It goes for about $134.99 on Amazon right now. You can see right here, we've got a coupon for $15 off, so you can get it for $120. Now, as you can see here, you can still get the EMEET for as low as $109 when you go to their website and buy it directly from them. All right, so one of the things you're going to want to do if you get this webcam, you want to tinker with it, you don't like the image you get out of the box, you're going to need to download this app right here, the EMEET Link app. 2 things right off the bat. I had issues. 2 things were wrong. Number 1, I had it plugged into a USB-C hub. So I plugged it directly into my Mac Mini. Still couldn't access it. Then I realized something else that I was doing. I was using my USB-C cable, my heavy-duty cable that came with my OBSBot Tail Air, which is a $500 webcam. Super thick cable. A lot of stuff runs through that webcam. So I plugged it in and just used that instead of the cable that came with the EMEET. I unplugged that webcam cable, plugged in the one that comes in the box, and now all of a sudden I can actually turn on HDR. And also, when I go into OBS, I now have 4K resolution available. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this to 4K resolution. And this is the EMEET SmartCam S800 in 4K. Better, definitely better. Just know you're not going to be able to do this in the app, at least not the app that I've downloaded. Maybe for Windows, it gives you something different in their app, but I'm using Apple in my M1 Mac Mini, and it does not offer the ability to switch inside the app. So let's go ahead and run through all the features that you can adjust here on the right. Up top, it says microphone noise reduction turned on. Well, right now you are listening to me in my Rodecaster Duo with the Earthworks ethos and all kinds of filters going on because my air conditioner's on. Didn't want to drown you out with airy hissy sound. So let's go ahead and test the microphone since it happens to be first on the list. All right, so this is the EMEET's built-in dual microphones with the noise reduction turned on. I'm just curious because I can't hear it the way it's set up right now. My headphones are for my Rodecaster Duo, what it sounds like to you guys, but I just wanted to keep talking here for a few seconds so you guys can hear and see how it balances the air conditioner, that airy sound in the background as I'm talking. All right, let's go ahead and turn the noise reduction off and see what the difference is, if there is any. Now the microphone noise reduction feature is turned off. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. All right, so now we're back on the Earthworks ethos, some more manageable audio quality. Now the built-in microphones, they're strictly meant for people who do video conference calls for work. So that's what that feature is there for live streaming. You're going to want to use an external microphone. So let's move on to the camera features. Right here we have flip horizontal. So as you can see right now, if I say, hey, look over to my right, well, on your screen, it looks like I'm pointing to my left. If for whatever reason you have a situation where you want to be able to say, I'm pointing to my right, and then people see that you're pointing to the right, you can see me pointing to the right. Or point to the left, you can see me pointing to the left. But downside is, if there's any kind of wordage, signage in the background, you want it to make sense, it's going to flip that as well. So you get to choose which one you want. You want the words to look right in the corners back here or behind you? Or do you want the correct, hey, I'm pointing to my right, and it look like I'm pointing to my right? That's what that's there for. Flip vertical. Let's go ahead and do that. So apparently if you're on the space station and you're floating upside down in space and you want to be able to point in the right direction and it match where you're pointing as you're floating in space, or, you know, you like to do a live stream hanging upside down from your ceiling. They got you covered. I don't know why. I say all the time on this channel, I love options. I love options. Sometimes some options are just okay. HDR is turned on. Let's turn that back off and see what happens. I don't think I really noticed a difference here. If I turn it on, HDR on. Here, I'm turning it on and off, and I don't see a difference. But I like the colors. I left my WS14 pop filters back here because of the different colors. Got some lights on in the background. I got an audio interface here. It's not plugged in. Just turn on some RGB. Just want to throw some colors in here. Test the webcam out. So there you go. Framing grid. Now this is cool because one of the things a lot of people struggle with is proper framing. The rule of thirds. What is the rule of thirds for watching? Rule of thirds means your eyes. All right. When you're looking at the camera screen, it's just a general rule of thumb for broadcasting or, YouTube streaming. You don't have to, but it's just a rule of thumb for people that are in the professional field that the eyes need to be somewhere around that 2/3 level. Then it gives you the golden ratio, then the crosshairs, and then we have square mode, metering mode. So let's go ahead and switch to Mitten Bontante Blishniklanka Farfik Nugan Mesagalakshin. Anyways, that's what this is. Global metering. You can see how the image changes. Global. Basically, global means it's taking into account everything that's in your picture, not just your face, not just your background. It's everything. Spot metering. A lot of whitewashing going on in there. And face metering. And that toned everything back down and made it much more manageable and normal. So we'll leave this on face focus. All right, let's go ahead and test the autofocus. Got this little chip here on my desk. Just happens to be within reach. Let's go ahead and move this around. Ta-ta-ta. All right, so autofocus isn't amazing, but it's not bad. It does work. It's on you just got to be patient. Zoom feature. So this is our field of view. All right, so this is 73 degrees. You want to zoom it in closer. 56 degrees if you want a tighter shot, less of your room in there, and then field of view 73 degrees. Filters, it's on standard. Let's go ahead and go with the presets that come in here. So this will be portrait mode. Ooh, that got warm real quick. Okay, it's kind of finding its way. I like portrait. I like the colors. I like the mix. It's got some warmth to my skin. I don't look so pale like I do in real life. I like how it's got the wood in the background, the right tones. I would say, honestly, looking at it, this is kind of extremely realistic to my room. Like, to my eyes, this is exactly how it is in real life as far as the colors with the lights on. So, portrait, not bad. Object mode, let's go ahead and turn that on. Okay. A lot of noise going on in the detail, like extremely over-sharpened kind of feel to it. Vivid, let's click that. So not as realistic as far as what the color of the palette would to my eyes, but now I see a lot more, like the reds seem a little bit more alive. Purple, the RGB on the mono auto interface, it's basically just a backdrop now. And yeah, some colors over here. Bright kind of toned down the palette wood in the background, okay? Not as realistic. Now, bright, I would say this is what it would look like without my studio lights on, but I have a warmer light pointing on my palette wood to bring in some more richness on the wood, and it is not reflecting that. So bright just kind of makes me brighter and tones down the saturation in the background, at least from what I'm seeing with my eyes, what I see in the room versus what we're seeing on the screen. So I think my two favorites for here is portrait and vivid. I like portrait. Give it a second to find there. Like, I just love that. That's my favorite. And then vivid. Let's just look at the reds as I switch to vivid. Like the reds are there, but they're not overly there. Then we click vivid for there, kind of finding its way. Now them reds are kind of like grabbing onto you. But again, I feel like there's a lot more noise in the details of my face and my headphones. So to me, the happy medium, what I would personally use is portrait mode. There you go. All right, so you see some settings here that are all grayed out. Can't really do anything because we're using the presets. If you want to go custom, you want to do your own thing, click customization, EV. All right, so basically like an ISO. And we're changing it. So there you go. Let's just turn that on auto. I never really change contrast too much. Either go up 2 or -2 depending on the webcam. So if I go like down 2, it kind of tones things down a little bit. I go up 2, brings a little bit more warmth into the wood behind me. So we'll leave that on 2. I like how it's picking up the details in that picture behind me, the Colossians picture, the whites and the browns, and that's kind of impressive. All right, sharpness. This is all the way down. Okay, or it was on 1. So it was apparently on 1. So let's go ahead and move this up a couple. Let's move it up 20. Full blast. This is the grainy. Like, okay, everything is super sharp, but there's a lot of grain and noise going on. But if you want to, it's there for you. You know, some people like this look for that like gamma look, you know, that cartoony look. EPOS Vox is really good at making videos where he intentionally just changes up the visual of the video to kind of add some spice to it. So that's one way you could do it. All right, so I'm going to bring it back down to 10 because I think 10 was the one I liked the most in there. Or a little bit more. Let's add a little bit more. 17. All right, so let's leave it on 17 right there. That looks good. A lot of sharpness back there, not too much in the face. Saturation, okay, so you can kind of tone it down if you feel like you got too much, or you want to feel like you're back in the old days, black and white television, which I had when I was a kid. You know, color TV was out, but we didn't have a lot of money when we were growing up, so I was just happy to have a black and white TV. And I just watched the Andy Griffith Show all the time because that was black and white anyway. TMI. Anyways, all right, moving on. So you can just kind of crank that up if you want some more vivid colors in your shot. You got your saturation. Generally, right here, I think it's doing fine. Leaving it at 50, and then tone. You want to look like a Smurf? You can look like a Smurf. It lets you do it. There you go. And white balance, making it cooler, making it warmer. I have no idea what 5600K on here is, and I like to, personally on my studio, for my lighting and the way this room is lit, I like to have it at 5200K as far as my cameras. Just seems to find a way to balance the palette wood and my flesh tones better. I have no idea what 5200K is on this webcam. Let's go ahead and turn the auto feature back on and see if it finds something better. Mine, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I don't know what my number is on here. So that's kind of a bummer. Just, you know, put ISO numbers on there for EV and white balance, you know, actual temperatures so we can dial in to match our lights in our studio. That'd be nice. You know, just food for thought, EMEET. Simple fix. Just change that. All right, so that's me running through the features that come with the app. I like it. For $109, I'm very impressed for the $109 price point as far as just using this for me. Now, I'm going to go ahead and connect this with my live stream studio at another location with some other webcams. Let's take a look. All right, so here we go. This is my live stream this past Tuesday. Which one do you think is the EMEET S800? Well, spoiler alert, it's the bottom left-hand corner. In the upper left-hand corner is me on my Sony ZV-E10 hooked up to my laptop with just the USB-C cable. So it's streaming in 720p to my computer. Upper right-hand corner is the OBSBot Tiny 2 Lite. Bottom right-hand corner is the OBSBot Meet 4K at $150. And bottom left is the S800. And I'm going to say, wow, very impressed. You see here when it's blown up in the 4-person podcast, even on a larger screen, it's not too pixelated. It looks pretty good. And I would say it looks really comparable to the AMBITFUL EMEET 4K and at probably $30 less. Now, the Sony ZV-10 does look a lot better when given a chance. I happen to have the blurry setting on my EVMux streaming software to blur my background a little bit, which kind of brought down the actual video quality, but that's not the point. The S800, as you see here, is really impressive in this shot. Time to land the plane regarding the EMEET SmartCam S800 webcam. Boy, that's a mouthful. Anyways, I'm just going to say for $109 is what you can get it for on the EMEET website. That's a lot of bang for your buck. I'm really, really impressed with this thing at this price point. So much so that, you know, you saw the video footage of it during my live stream this past Tuesday, and it's going to stay in that lineup. I thought it did a really, really awesome job, especially with cheaper webcams. When you try to blow it up full screen, it can get pixelated and the image quality kind of takes a drop. Webcams like this one, even when it's like 3/4 of the screen, when you've got 4 people on there with the smaller boxes to the right, or when it's 4 boxes in the screen, I mean, wow, very, very impressive. So yeah, very impressed. Let's go over the pros and cons regarding this webcam. My pros are the auto features. I think this thing does an amazing job when you get a picture with the color accuracy with the auto features on. The presets in there, I loved portrait and I loved vivid in here. Those were the two that I liked the most. But I will say, I had to turn customization on and mimic all of the settings for the portrait mode and then just dial in the sharpness. I went from 3, which is what it was in there, and I've dialed it into 31. Everything else is the same as portrait mode in the presets. But again, turn on the customization. I just dialed in that the sharpness from 3 to 31 to kind of, get rid of that little fuzziness that it gives you, that smoother shot when you're trying to go full screen. You don't really notice it when it's a smaller screen, again, doing a podcast with other people. So that was one of the pros. The other pro was just what you get for $109. Wow, not bad. Let's move on to the cons. My biggest con is the website or the app that goes with it. There's no way to change from 4K to 1080p to change the frames per second. It's only in OBS that I'm able to change the definition of what this webcam is from 4K to 1080, and also, recording at 30 frames per second. It's kind of like with AMBITFUL and Elgato. You can change those things in the app feature. You can't here. The other con was the microphone, the built-in microphone. While it does the job it needs to if you're using this for video conference calls, if you're live streaming or using it for podcasting, that's a no-go for me. I mean, it's very echoey. Also, when you turned on the noise reduction feature, it like shot the gain up 10 dB. So it was like piercing. And then when you turn that off, the decibels dropped 10 dB. And yet the air conditioner stayed the same. I'm not sure what was going on there, but I'm just not going to use it. But in all fairness, I never use any of my built-in webcams, microphones for live streaming and podcasting. I always use my external microphones. So it's not necessarily a con for conference callers and business users, but live streaming content creation, that's going to be a con for me. The other con is I don't really know how to word this, but it tells you right in the instructions, use the cable that it came with. And I learned my lesson the hard way. I try to use the same cable I use with my more expensive webcams and also a USB-C cable I use for my Sony ZV-E10. But when I plug it into the EMEET, it did not want to recognize nor stream in 4K. The other thing is, just to let you guys know, I could not get this thing to work in 4K unless it was plugged directly into my Mac Mini. Whenever I used a USB-C hub that was 3.0, still didn't register. Worked fine in 1080p, but 4K, the only time I was able to get any kind of software to recognize it and let me select that was, again, using the cable they provided, plugged directly into my Mac Mini. So just wanted to throw that out there for you guys as well. Be nice if you could use any other cable. Why is that a con? Well, let's say this cable fails one day. Cables do. Do I have to order this exact same cable, or do I have to go on this like gigantic, long enduring trial and error journey on Amazon of buying cables until something works. I don't want to go down that road. So again, that's why it fell on a con and not really like a nitpicking thing. Future-proofing the webcam here, if you want to use it in 4K, it would be nice if it worked. So with that being said, pros and cons all measured together. What grade would I give this webcam? I'm going to give it a 7.5. Let's put an asterisk on that 7.5. If it's the webcam alone and what it's able to do, if you like the auto features, I give it a 9. But if you want to be able to dial in your EV, which is your ISO basically, and your white balance, the app does not give you the accurate numbers to dial it in and make it match your lights in your studio. I can't say this enough. If you have studios where you have them all dialed in to a specific temperature, the lights in my studio are usually between 5200 and 5400 Kelvin. I don't know what that is on this app because it's not a sliding scale with that. It's a 1 to 100. And I've never been able to, at least to this point, figure out what that number is in my software. So I've had to turn on the auto white balance. The downside to that is sometimes the colors can change as you're doing your video. So when you go back to edit it, you may cut out a section and in 1 second, it's one set color tone. And the next second of your cut, it's a different color tone. Can kind of throw some people off. So I would like to be able to have it set at a specific color and leave it so when I do my editing, you don't see the colors fluctuate throughout the edits. That can be fixed with the software firmware update. So that's where I have some hope here. EMEET, if you can go in there, if you're listening to me and my voice matters, and it shouldn't because I'm just a small little drop in the bucket in this YouTube space. But if you are listening and you want to know my opinion, and I'm sending this to them in my email for my feedback to them, is I would really love for them to change the EV number to match your ISO numbers in your cameras and other webcam softwares that are out there, and also for the white balance to be scaled in Kelvin and not this 0 to 100 stuff. I would also like for them to input the ability in the software for you to change which resolution you want to use, 4K or 1080, and then the 60 frames per second. If it's telling you can only use HDR in a certain setting, it'd be nice if this app had the ability for you to make those changes in the app and not have to go to another app like OBS, like I had to do, in order to get HDR to work on here. The app is the Achilles heel of this setup. Does it make it not worth the $109? Nope. I still think it's a great value purchase for you guys looking to get started. $109, pair that with some amazing audio, and no one's going to care. It's going to be some great stuff. I'm happy with it. I'm going to keep using it in my live stream. Just wanted to throw that out there. So thanks again to EMEET for sending this out to me so I could review it for you guys here on the channel. Appreciate it. So with that being said, I'm going to close this out. Thank you for watching this episode of Level Up. Don't forget to subscribe. And hey, become a member if you want to support this channel. Also hit that like button so YouTube knows that it's a cool video that other people need to see. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you guys are notified when future content goes up, because it is coming. You don't want to miss out on it. And a special shout out in this video and a special thanks to Bronson from Audio Hotline for becoming a member. Just one of the guys I've been looking up to since I got in this space, trying to model my channel after him, do it how he does it with the care and the quality that he does it. Special thank you to you, Bronson. Love you. And hey, Michael Jordan, bro, you know what I'm talking about. All right, I'm done. Till I see you guys in the next video, I'm out.